Joining me now from Roanoke, Virginia is John Fishwick Jr. He's a trial lawyer and former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia. John, I want to begin by just getting your reaction to this recommendation by the Justice Department.
So any new Justice Department is entitled to have different priorities, and these officer-involved shootings with civil rights violations are not a priority for the Trump DOJ. Nonetheless, I think to recommend just 1 day in jail for this defendant in light of the fact that Breonna Taylor is dead, in light of the fact that the jury heard the evidence in this case over a 2-week trial and convicted him of that, and he would face up to life imprisonment, although probably something far less under the sentencing guidelines. Nonetheless, I think they should see the case through, and I think it's disrespectful to the family of the victim and also to the jury. I think they have an obligation to see the case through, and by just asking for 1 day or basically time served is not seeing the case through.
Can the judge reject the DOJ's recommendation, John? And what is the likelihood of that happening on Monday?
Well, time will tell on Monday. Ultimately, the power of sentencing is totally up to the judge. She hears from the prosecution, she hears from the defense, but obviously the defense is going to go along with this. So no one is going to be arguing to the judge on Monday anything other than she should basically give a 1 day sentence or time served. So will the judge do something different than what both of the parties are asking for in this case? I think it's unlikely. I think she goes along with what DOJ says. Obviously, she can do what she wants. She did hear the evidence. She was there for the case, so she might have a different reaction than what DOJ does. But ultimately, she's going to look to what the defense lawyer says and what the Department of Justice says, and both of them are going to be saying, just give him 1 day in jail.
And is there any legal recourse for Breonna Taylor's family who, as you heard me read the statement from the attorneys, they're heartbroken and angry, and they said recommending just 1 day in prison sends the unmistakable message that white officers can violate the civil rights of Black Americans with near total impunity. What options is before them?
And obviously the family feels disrespected here when you come out just so aggressively and say, you know, we're basically not going to ask for a prison sentence. But as it relates to this criminal case, you know, they can be heard and they can speak to the judge. But ultimately what DOJ has done, there's nothing they can do about it. And the final call will be by the judge on Monday. But if the judge sticks with this, then I'm sure the family will still feel, you know, great remorse over the whole situation.
So after Monday, if the judge approves this recommendation, there's nothing the family can do in terms of any appeals?
They cannot. The only person who could appeal would be the defendant, and if he gets 1 day in jail, it's unlikely he would appeal. I guess he could appeal on the fact that he didn't think he should have been convicted, but as relates to the sentence, there's really nothing that the family can do.
Does this recommendation reflect any kind of plea agreement that, I mean, I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but do you think a plea was part of this?
I don't think so. I think what's happened here is we've got a new DOJ, and they say these cases are not a priority. They say that, look, the defendant in this case, Mr. Hankinson's got a lot of good things going for him, and he does. No criminal record. He did not kill Breonna Taylor, but nonetheless, he was found guilty of this charge, a serious charge, you know, where someone was killed and their civil rights were violated. So it's a very serious charge, but this DOJ says these are not a priority case for us. We're not going to be pursuing these cases, and they're almost saying maybe this case shouldn't have been pursued. So at the end of the day, we've got a disagreement between Biden's DOJ and Trump's DOJ. These are not a priority, and so this defendant benefits from that greatly, and obviously the Breonna Taylor family feels like that they're not given the proper justice in this case.
Yeah, all right, we'll leave it there. John Fishwick, thank you very much.